What up, what up, what up? How are y'all doing? I'm doing great as usual. Surprise, surprise. The boxing world and the boxing newsfeed always wants to come out during a Canelo fight week. Between last night and today, we've had numerous fights announced. That includes Andy Ruiz, Areola, Josh Taylor, Ramirez, Billy Joe, Canelo Alvarez, Benavidez, Ellis, and to throw another one in the mix. It's not an exact date, but we're looking towards the end of May for a fight that kind of surprised me. It involves one of my favorite fighters and a true legend of the game. That is Mikey Garcia versus Manny Pac-Man Pacquiao. Now, this fight was supposed to happen before the COVID. The COVID happened, the talks evaporated, and there it goes by the wayside. Mikey Garcia was all over the place, Instagram, Twitter, ES News with Ellie, looking fat and out of shape, and people were wondering if he was going to come back and have a meaningful fight. Well, he surprised me, like I'm sure everyone else. Because before Mikey made this announcement, in an Uber ride, I guess, at Canelo's fight, I'm assuming, first we heard it was going to be Manny Pac-Man Pacquiao against Ryan Garcia. Now, that didn't make much sense, and it comes to find out, Oscar De La Hoya said, yep, that was all for Instagram, and that fight was never going to happen. And then we heard Manny Pacquiao and Crawford talks. Manny Pacquiao going to get $40 million. Terrence Bud Crawford was going to get 10. They were going to do the fight in the Middle East. And once I started hearing Manny Pac-Man Pacquiao and Bud Crawford talks, I assumed that that fight would happen if it could land in the Middle East. But once again, it goes to show you Bob Arum is getting too old and can't seem to make fighters happy, therefore not getting any fights. But he did do a good job on the Josh Taylor and Ramirez fight. But that fight involves two of his own fighters, and they're under contract, so that's easier for him to make. But needless to say, I thought Manny Pac-Man Pacquiao and Terrence Bud Crawford was heading to the Middle East for a showdown. So, where would that leave Mikey Garcia? Well, in my mind, I thought DAZN and Mikey Garcia would make a play for Ugas, the new WBA super champion, because Manny Pac-Man Pacquiao got stripped of the title. Now, why he decided to let that go after all the BS, the McGregor talks, the Ryan Garcia talks, the Bud Crawford talks, why did he get stripped if he's going to fight a real professional fight? I don't understand. So once I heard Manny Pac-Man Pacquiao and talks of Bud Crawford, I figured that DAZN and Mikey Garcia would make a big play for Ugas, because Mikey Garcia's goal is to become a five different weight division champion. And I thought that maybe him and DAZN could come up with a package to try to overpay for Ugas to fight Mikey Garcia. And why do I talk about DAZN and Mikey Garcia? Mikey Garcia is on a fight by fight deal with DAZN. When Mikey Garcia fought Jesse Vargas, his last fight, he signed a fight by fight deal with DAZN. Well, really a one fight deal. But in that one fight deal, DAZN and Eddie Hearn have matching rights on his next fight. So, if Mikey Garcia was fighting Manny Pacquiao, like it looks like it's going to happen, sometimes in May, DAZN could have the option to match the purses for both fighters. And if they decide to match the purses for both fighters, that fight would go on DAZN because that's the contract Mikey has with them. Manny Pacquiao, I don't know where he's on the contract. Some people say he's on the contract with PBC, and some people say they're not sure. But the problem with Manny Pacquiao is you got 42 people that claim to manage, promote the fighter. So it's really up in the air with Manny Pacquiao. So a couple different questions. Mikey Garcia said May. Well, Saturday night, we all heard the announcement that Canelo is going to be fighting Billy Joe Saunders May 8th. So, if Mikey Garcia is correct, it's going to be at the tail end of May. They're not going to go anywhere near May 8th. Everybody in boxing knows that that is Canelo's weekend. So, and then you also have to realize that the rumor has it is that Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua are going at the beginning of June. So, if that fight were to happen in May, it has to happen somewhere between the first week in June and the first week in May, which is a tough slot. And where is this going to be shown? What network? Has DAZN got their hands in this? Does PBC have their hands in this? Does someone jump out of the woodwork, i.e. Triller? And where does this fight take place? Is it going to the Middle East? I don't know. Apparently, the Middle East would love to get Manny Pacquiao over there. But to go over there with Mikey Garcia, I'm not sure. So, with Mikey's relationship with Jerry Jones and the Dallas Cowboys Stadium and Manny Pacquiao fighting there before, I think in all indications that's where it is heading. Especially if Vegas is still shut down. So, in my mind, I got Dallas Cowboys Stadium or Vegas. I don't think this fight goes to the Middle East. Pay per view, PBC. I'm willing to pay for that one. I'll pay twice for this fight. As you know, Mikey Garcia is one of my favorite fighters. He's a sound fighter. Very good fundamentals. And he might be all right in this fight because he's fighting a smaller 147-pound fighter in Manny Pacquiao. I don't think the speed of Manny Pacquiao would hurt Mikey because, like I said, Mikey seems to always be in position and he has good fundamentals. I think Mikey can take a punch. He can take some punishment. We all remember what happened when he fought Earl Spence. He got a beating in that fight, and he wanted to make sure he finished the last round. But he got a beating, so he can take a punch. Now, who hits harder, Errol Spence or Manny Pac-Man Pacquiao? Well, If this was a couple years ago, I would say Manny Pacquiao probably hits harder. He's more explosive. It comes from weird angles. You don't see the shots coming. And everybody knows in the sport of boxing, the shots you do not see coming hurt the worst. But Manny Pacquiao is a little bit older. So I think as of right now, Errol Spence probably hits a lot harder. And Mikey lasted 12 rounds with Errol Spence. Uh, so yeah, if this fight is really gonna happen, I can't wait. Boxing is shaping up with one hell of a schedule on all platforms. PBC needs to pick up the pace. We need to see Deontay Wilder out. We need to see Errol Spence out. Uh, yeah, we got a good little run of a schedule coming up. And now, what happens with Bud Crawford? Does Sean Porter and Bud Crawford go back to the drawing table and try to work out a deal? I'm not sure. Bob Arum needs to smarten up or step away from matchmaking and contracts. But yeah, just a quick video. Jesus Christ, it's 3:20 a.m. on the East Coast. I wasn't going to do a video, but I haven't seen many videos on Mikey and Manny yet, so I figured I'd jump ahead and be one of the first in line. So, everybody, you guys know what to do. Help a brother out. Please like, subscribe,